Hi Home Spark Huskies. Today we're going to make some Play-Doh, and so here I'm going to zoom in on the recipe right here. And so it's just your basic Play-Doh mix that you can bake at home. You're going to need some ingredients on hand, and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to mix the dry ingredients. So you need a cup of flour. So I'm gonna get me, and I did wash my hands before I started this video. Okay, so I have a cup of flour, and I'm gonna put it in the pan, and then 2 teaspoons cream of tartar. So I have my teaspoon here, and don't have very much cream of tartar. Luckily, a lot of recipes don't call for cream of tartar, so I think this is pretty much the only recipe I have that calls for it. And then a 1/3 cup of salt. So put some salt here. Okay, there's a 1/3 cup of salt. Then you're going to mix them together, and I'm just going to use my teaspoon to mix them. Okay, that looks pretty well mixed. Then it says to add water, and you need a cup of water. So I already have that pre-measured out. So there's a cup of water. And mix it up, and mix it pretty well, because once you turn on the heat, it does cook really fast. So okay, so I have my water in there, and I'm going to add the oil real quick. Before I turn on the stove, I need a tablespoon of vegetable oil, and great. So there's a tablespoon of vegetable oil. All right. Mix that up. Now this is the time that if you wanted to add food coloring, you would put some food coloring in there. I'm just gonna leave mine white. Actually, I think I'll put some food coloring in it. How about some pink? So just as much as you want. Stir it up really good. Actually looks more like red than pink. Okay, I'm going to turn on the stovetop and keep stirring it. And you're going to bring it to a boil. And like I said earlier, it doesn't take very long. This does cook really fast. If you wanted to make it without using your stovetop, you could boil the water in the microwave and then pour it in the pan and stir it up, and it would basically be the same thing. So right here, I'll show you. It's still cooking. While it's cooking, I'm going to clean up a little. Put my food coloring up. Put the flour away. And the salt away. And the cream of tartar. Put all these up. guess I'll put that in the sink. So now it's dirty. Okay, so it's almost cooked. It's getting there. You can tell that it's getting closer because it does get thicker. And like right now, it's still a little thin, but it's definitely starting to thicken up. While it's cooking, it does get really thick. And then when it's finished, the best way to store Play-Doh is either in a Tupperware container or a Ziploc bag. I personally prefer the Tupperware container or something similar because it will last a lot longer. But you know, if you're just using this at home with your kids, it'll last a pretty long time. But in the classroom, 2, maybe 3 weeks tops. But okay, it's getting closer. It's definitely starting to get clumpy and thick. So, oh, I am cooking it over almost high heat. So, I think that's pretty much what I do every time. It says to boil. I don't think it's going to boil, but we'll be able to know that it's finished cooking because it'll have the right consistency. So, okay, it's definitely getting there. Also, if you were making this for a large crowd, which I would not recommend right now, but if you were, then you would need to double your recipe. So usually when I'm making it for school, or if I have a parent that's making it for school, I always ask them to double the recipe. But for home use, really 1 batch is fine. And like I said earlier, it'll last you a while. Okay, it's almost finished. I can pretty much pick it up and it stays on the spoon. Still got a little bit longer to cook. Like I said, it's not going to boil like water would. You know, if you're boiling water for noodles, it's not going to boil like that. It's not going to roll. But it's definitely almost finished. When it's finished cooking and you get ready to store it, do not put it in the container while it's hot and seal up the container because it will cause it to mold, and we don't want that. So the best thing to do is just let it cool. Maybe put it in the container with the lid off, put it in the fridge for a while or the freezer, and then get it out. It is pretty hot once it's done, and you want to play with it immediately, but definitely too hot for little fingers. And it's finished. So that is how you make Play-Doh. I'll bring the pan over here and you can see, almost lost it there, that we have Play-Doh. And this is great for fine motor skills, strengthening fingers and hands. It's also great just to, roll around and kind of get rid of stress. It's just like, playing with a stress ball would be. It's great fun. And also the pan cleans up really easily. So I hope you enjoyed this today. And next week we'll see what else we can cook up in the kitchen.